Hello, welcome back to the Art of Living Well podcast. We are celebrating a big milestone today. So, Marnie and I are coming on to celebrate our 200th episode, which was actually last week. We're now at 201. And it's been such a big milestone. We wanted to just kind of take a few minutes before we dive into this episode to reflect on the journey that we've had. It's been 4 years, Marnie.
Which
Can
is
you believe this?
crazy. First of all, it's so exciting. Like 200 is kind of a big number, right? Like
Yes.
a lot of statistics say that a lot of podcasters will start a podcast and then they kind of either taper off or they drop off altogether. And we have pretty much been dropping episodes weekly for all 4 years, which I'm going to give us a pat on the back because that's amazing.
Absolutely. We haven't even taken a break. Like we have these schedule breaks that we take quarterly for 1 week. And I don't even think we did that for the first couple of years.
No.
So we have been very consistent.
And I have learned so much from our guests, and I truly love this podcast. I love doing the research. I love meeting the new people. It's been a joy for the most part.
I couldn't agree more. I think we've both like learned and grown so much, like personally and professionally. And if I think about like what my major was in college, accounting, and to what I'm doing now, like I really love the journalistic aspect of this job. Like you said, the researching, the guests. I mean, it's like I just dive in. Sometimes you go into a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I think the guests that we've had on, especially the last year, and not to discount the guests that we had on for the first couple of years, but we just continue to attract these amazing guests with various expertise. And then going to the Cabral conference in October, we met a whole bunch of guests that we're going to be dropping in the new year that we're really, really excited about, that we've interviewed recently, or we will be interviewing in the coming weeks.
And I'll just say, like, our confidence has grown so much through this process. And like, I remember way back when we would have like our guest wish list and we'd be like, oh, we can't approach that person. They're too big or whatever. And now it's like the world is our oyster, right? We are not afraid to go after who we want to have come on our show. We're not afraid to say no, thank you, if we don't think the person's a good fit. And I just think some of that growth is something to acknowledge, and also to thank our listeners, because without you, we wouldn't be here. And we're just so appreciative of you and grateful for you. And we hope that you are getting so much from our show each week. And we would truly love to hear from you.
Absolutely. We would love. So drop us a note, reach out. And if there are guests that or topics that you want to hear about in 2024, please let us know. And leave us a 5-star rating and review. Head on over to Apple Podcasts. We love that because honestly, the way these algorithms work, the more 5-star reviews we get, and specifically the text in the reviews, the more people we will reach. That's how Apple Podcasts work and how a lot of the other podcast platforms work as well.
And now we're going to change gears and talk about the holiday season and how it can bring joy, but it can also be stressful. And actually, before we started recording this episode, I was sensing a lot of stress from Stephanie, and I'm feeling my own stress. And I think probably a lot of you out there listening are feeling stress as well. And so we thought it would be a really good idea to just talk about, some tips and strategies on how to manage that stress during the holidays. And it is doable. Like, we don't have to feel this stress, right?
And remember, for a lot of people, and I'm not speaking generalized, not trying to generalize this, but the holidays are hopefully a happy and joyful time. Even if you have some hardship and things going on in your life, I hope that you have some moments where you're with friends or family or able to experience some element of tradition and joy. But I realize that that's not the case for everyone. However, what I see a lot of people is getting stressed over things that are good. Like, we're getting stressed because, we have a lot of social obligations, or maybe we're doing some holiday shopping, or, and really, is that something to be stressed about? If you're really just truly trying to be joyful and be in the moment and appreciate those times. So just trying not to get so caught up in the minutia of the day to day.
Well, and I would also say, I think it's really helpful to plan and prioritize. And if you're getting a lot of invitations to a lot of different things, and some of those things don't appeal to you and you feel obligated to go, don't go.
Right.
Or if it's going to take too much time out of your night to the point where you're not going to be able to enjoy yourself, I would just say no, thank you. Now, if you're not going because you have stacks of laundry to do at home and, you just don't feel like you can pull yourself away from your chores, maybe rethink that. But I think saying no to things that are not going to bring you peace and joy and calm is especially important during this time of year. And it's something I think a lot of people struggle with because they feel obligated to go, or they want to please other people. Maybe they want to please their spouse. Maybe you want to please your child. But at the end of the day, that self-care is so important during this, always, but especially during this time.
And, one thing I was thinking about when we were talking earlier before this episode, before we went live, is we ask our guests, what's your one non-negotiable to start each day? And I think that is especially important during the holiday season. And maybe you even broaden it to be what's one non-negotiable for this day, but also for this week, looking at your schedule so that you can plan and say no to those things that are not necessary, that are not going to fill you up and bring you joy, and those activities that maybe will drain your battery, because you want to show up for those events and people in your life that you are prioritizing. You want to show up at 100% or show up in your fullest self. And so just ask yourself each day, what do I need today? And, a couple of our guests recently, when we've asked that question, have even just said, before they even get out of bed, they either are doing a little bit of breath work or they're doing some sort of gratitude practice. And I do find that really, really helpful, or a quick meditation or journaling, but something that's quiet, that you're looking inward. And I know a lot of us, Marnie and I talk, we like to work out first thing in the morning, but I do think on those days when I'm feeling a little bit more stressed or anxious, that doing something calming before I go work out really helps to ground me.
Yeah, that's so true. And I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, how I do my breathing in bed before I get out of bed. And this morning, actually, and this hasn't happened to me in a long time, I could not get through my 10 breaths.
Really?
My mind was spinning and I was like, you got to get up, you got to get moving, blah, blah, blah. You have to go do this and go do that. And I've been reading the news every morning, which is terrible. And I really need to stop reading the news first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
But I was like, you have to have time for all these things you want to do. It's like my me time was encroaching on my self-care time. And I was winding myself up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start over. And I'd go back down to one. And I finally was like, F it. I'm out of bed. I can't do this right now. My mind, but that usually does not happen to me. And that just tells me where I am mentally. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to need to take a meditation break later, because I clearly need it.
Right. That's a sign that you need it. But we've had a bunch of guests on, and I think even with going to that conference in the fall, I've been doing so much more breath work. I mean, in the middle of the night, if I wake up and have to go to the bathroom and I can't go back to bed, and before I go to sleep at night, in the morning, and it's just simple breathing techniques. I loved even just the box breathing. I've been doing that more lately. I used to like to do the 4-7-8 breath, but just those deep, deep breaths that really get into your belly, and not those shallow breaths up here in your chest. Really, I find that so powerful and so helpful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that during this time, if we can try to maintain our healthy habits, I know I feel better. When I have had times where I can, go off the rails like everybody else.
Right.
And then I never feel good inside. So it's like, what can I do each day if I know I have a dinner tonight or whatever it is, or a holiday party? What can I do during the day so that I don't feel just I'm on this hamster wheel of parties and dinners and wine and all, and snacks and whatever. And I think for me, it's really keeping that regular schedule and keeping those healthy habits and then being mindful about if I want to have a glass of wine, do I need a glass of wine 3 nights in a row? Or do I want to pick one night where maybe I'll have a glass of wine and I'll really savor and enjoy it.
And I think that's the important part is you can say yes and go to these social obligations without going off the rails, like you said, and pick the one out of the week or 2 events out of 7 nights this time of year where you're going to enjoy, there's going to be food or drinks or whatever it is and enjoy it. And not worry about it, but we shouldn't feel obligated and guilty to eat certain foods or not, or drink if we don't want to, just because other people are doing it. So I think it goes back to prioritizing how you want to feel. And I think by now, a lot of us know how we feel the next day. And that's okay to have a day where you don't, maybe your sleep isn't as great or whatever. But
that's where the Z-biotics come in.
Yes. And I do like the Z-biotics. And I also have to say, the other product that I think really helps me is the chlorella, the ENERGYbits, but the recovery bits. I take those every single night, but I tell you, I will take a few more on the night where I've had a glass or 2 of wine. And I do think it really helps with the detoxification and the sleep. So yeah. And the ENERGYbits in the morning are really helpful.
No, I
especially
totally
these days.
Agree. And I think I was never a big drinker to begin with, but I think I'm drinking even less. Just after hearing about all the effects of alcohol on our bodies and listening to so many guests. And I'm noticing now that when I do have a glass of wine or, a tequila or whatever it is, like I am feeling it the next day, like even one glass. And, I don't always remember to take the Z-biotics, but it's just interesting. And I think I notice it. It's not that it's my sleep that I notice the most. It's not so much that I don't have my energy the next day, because I think I'm usually pretty fine with energy, but my sleep is not as calm. And I don't have a sleep tracker or anything like that. I just know it's like restless sleep.
Well, you know what it is for me, and I've noticed this a lot, even in the last 6 months, it's my heart rate variability. I can feel it myself now because I know my heart rate is, it's high. My heart rate's high, which means my heart rate variability is low. And then I look at my Oura ring. I mean, I can tell now. I don't even need the Oura ring, but I do like the data. And it's been this whole last weekend, both Friday and Saturday nights. And it didn't matter that I got enough sleep. It's the quality of the sleep. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you may want to look into getting one of these sleep tracking devices, because sometimes that accountability is really helpful to drive change in your behavior.
Absolutely.
But you can feel it too.
I was just thinking about this when you mentioned the Oura ring, but the financial obligations that come with the holidays are sometimes mind-boggling to me. And I challenge you all to think about ways that you can give or, I don't know what to call it, but
well, opt out of giving gifts too, though,
or finding a way to do something more meaningful than just throwing a bunch of gifts at someone because you feel obligated to. Like maybe taking your mom to lunch or a special tea or something would be, when I say tea, like going to tea or whatever, would be more meaningful than that red sweater you were going to buy her. Or, I think there's a lot of feelings of obligation in many families, but I think there are more meaningful ways to get into the holiday spirit, if you will, that don't necessarily involve hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Well, the other thing I really like doing is providing an experience for someone. And I remember this was like, 7 or 8 years ago. So kind of a while. And I had some neighbors and we would do a little gift exchange. And my gift for them was cooking a meal. And I cooked this soup. I made this super hearty salad. And we did it like post holidays when you kind of need something to look forward to in January, February. And that was my gift to them. Like, I like cooking. And so think of ways like that. Like you could provide an experience, kind of like going to tea instead, or just opting out. Like I have this lunch with holiday lunch I always do with some girlfriends. And this year we're like, okay, no gifts. Like we just want time with each other. And so each of us buying a $20 or $30 gift for everyone. I mean, it's fine, but it does add more stress and financially and time. And it's just like to me, and one of my love languages is quality time. So for me, the time with someone is like the best present. Your presence is the best present for me.
I couldn't agree more. My mom is always like, what can I get your kids? I'm like, you don't need to get them anything. They don't need anything. I said, I'd rather, if you're out somewhere at some point during the year and you see something and you're like, oh my gosh, Zach has to have that. You buy it for him because you feel passionate about it. I'm like, just because it's a said holiday, please don't feel like you have to buy a gift. It's just not necessary.
Absolutely. And I do think that even kids will remember an experience they had, whether it's with a grandparent or a family member or a friend, or just for my parents, like, come here and visit. That's the present, because we don't get to see them very often. So,
and if you're one of those people that truly enjoys like buying gifts and picking them out, by all means, I'm not saying not to do that.
Right.
But I think many people feel stress around it. Around the money, around the, what do I get this person and the expectations. And, I've talked to friends whose kids have these expectations like every year for something more elaborate. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thankfully I don't have to deal with it.
Right.
I don't have to deal with that.
Sometimes I have a hard time getting my kids, my boys, to actually come up with a list other than like basic things that they need that I would, kind of buy them anyway. But one gift that you could give yourself and or your loved ones is joining our community detox, which is starting January 7th. And it's 14 days this year. We did 14 days the last 2 years. And honestly, the gift of community, support, and health, I mean, what better gift to give yourself in 2024?
And I think every quarter that we do this detox, and Stephanie and I have been doing it for 4+ years now, I feel different benefits. Like I have learned so much about myself during this detox, and sometimes I dread it and sometimes I can't wait for it. But every single time I feel better afterwards, and I'm always so glad I did it.
100%.
And I love the community that we've created, and we're adding some fun new things this year to change it up a bit with some special guests that are coming. Some will be recorded, one may be live. So that'll be really fun. And I think that being part of a community, especially at the beginning of the year, when you're launching into your new year, hopefully it's going to be a better year this year for lots of reasons. And we would just love to have you join us.
Yes, absolutely. So you can click the link in our show notes. We also want to have a special offer. So if you sign up and you get a friend or family member or anyone else, work colleague, whoever, to join as well, you will get $25 off your program fee. So once they sign up, email us, DM us, get in touch with us, and then we'll give you a code to get your $25 off. So have your friend sign up first and then message us, and then you can join with that discount, because we love to expand our community. And we can ship these kits anywhere in the US, but we do need a good solid week if you live outside of the Minneapolis area to make sure that your kit arrives in time. So don't delay. Don't wait until January 3rd.
Make your commitment now.
Yes.
Make the commitment to yourself now, or maybe you and another person. And one more thing I want to say is that don't be afraid to embrace imperfection during the holidays. I think a lot of people have this idea in their head of the perfect holiday season, and maybe it's a perfect photo with your matching PJs or sweaters, or, the snow falling and whatever it is. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect. It can be messy and fun and sad. And, there's a lot of different emotions for people flying around. And maybe just try and embrace that instead of having expectations around this perfect dinner or whatever it is.
I would almost say, I'm just thinking about this now, try to infuse a little element of play into your day. And I think when we get stressed around the holidays, we lose sight of that. Like we all need to be more playful and let go of expectations and just kind of surrender to the day, and whatever happens, happens. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we kind of want? Shouldn't that you look back on the holiday season and be like, I had fun, versus look back on the holiday season and be like, oh, I was so stressed and tired and exhausted and I ate like crap and drank too much. Well, no, but let's have fun. And you, by the way, you can have a great time still eating what food fuels you and nourishes you that you enjoy, and not drinking if you choose not to drink, right? And that's something we've talked about on this episode before, because I think a lot of people do struggle with that. Like, I can't be fun if I'm not drinking or I'm not eating what everyone else is eating. So
put on some dance music and show you off
yes.
your dance moves.
And you know what? Saturday night, I had a party downtown, and I probably knew maybe 10 of the people there. It was like a bunch of people hosted it and invited their friends. And there was this fabulous DJ, and we were all dressed up in like holiday, attire, and we just danced, and it was so fun. Like so fun. And I told my friends, I'm like, I want to do this once a month. I want to plan like a night out dancing once a month. I mean, it doesn't need to be anything big, but just.
Yeah, it's fun. You release so energy, right?
Yes.
Like you're moving, and
it happened to have a lot of, songs from our era. So that was always fun for us 40, 50 plus year olds out there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway. Yeah. So just take a deep breath, right?
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, enjoy this time, enjoy your families, stay connected, and to people, not devices.
Yes,
I want to
exactly.
clarify that.
I mean, yes, 100%. And we look forward to hopefully meeting more of you in our community detox.
And we're grateful for your support.
Yes, very grateful. So thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye.